have been enslaved. The Passover Seder reminds us that in every age, everyone must do what they can to help those who are enslaved by tyranny. If a people anywhere is enslaved, exploited, or oppressed, then nowhere is freedom really secure, and freedom must never be taken for granted. We'll be opening with the blessing of the lights, and as we go through the service this evening, we'll be asking for different volunteers to be readers. So I'm not going to be reading to you. You'll all be helping facilitate this experience. If you have your own candles, feel free to light them, at this time. And Nina, I call upon you, since I don't have candles in my small spot here, to be our candle lighter and take us forward on the lighting.
Okay, so first I want to show you my special Passover frog candlestick, because I like sharing that with you. And now we're going to.
And we have 2 blessings for the candles for this.
Great. So the first one is our usual Yom Tov candle lighting. Okay, we can do this. Okay. See, these are not virtual candles. These are actual candles that can give us trouble. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Yom Tov. And then, because it is the first night of Passover, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'hegianu azman hazeh. Amen.
Amen.
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and brought us to this festive season. We thank you, O Lord, for the blessings of life and health, especially now. Okay.
As we fill the first cup of wine, we move into Kadesh, the blessing, the Kiddush.
I know I sent you guys emails and said if you have wine to bring it. I definitely brought mine.
And the Torah tells us that 4 times we recount the story of our redemption from slavery, and we drink wine 4 times during the course of the Seder while reclining. If you have a pillow, feel free to lean back, and twice before the meal and twice after the meal.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Enjoy.
I drink for you and with you.
Women play a special role for Pesach. The Rashbam from 11th century France, as we hearken back, was a leading French scholar. He is very famous, and he's a grandson of Rashi, and said that women must be involved in the celebration of Passover because women were the catalysts of the redemption by continuing to procreate and hide their children in order to thwart Pharaoh's genocidal plan. And here are 2 modern traditions recognizing this teaching. And we would love to have a reader if somebody would like to share where it says orange.
I will.
Okay, Sharon.
Since the 1980s, an orange has been added either to the Seder plate or immediately adjacent to it. Not only is this a feminine symbol, but it is also a way of acknowledging all those people who feel marginalized within the Jewish community because of their sex, sexuality, religious grouping, country of origin, and or domicile, or for any other reason.
So the Seder plate contains an orange to remind us never to forget, just as we tell the story of Pesach and we don't forget. We also have on the Seder table the Kos Miriam. Can everyone see my Kos Miriam? And this is a very special edition, which came about probably in the 1960s. I feel very old saying that for some reason, but I was around when this custom started and was one of the people doing it, in her own home. And the Kos Miriam, the cup of Miriam, contains water. We fill it with water. because Miriam was given the gift of a well by God, and Miriam was a prophetess in her own right, and that well traveled with the Israelites through the desert voyage until Miriam died. And it's said that when she died, the well dried up and was no more. And so at the Seder table, we ask people to add a drop of water to the kos Miriam from their own cup. And as they do, they recite the name of a woman who has nurtured them or inspired them or helped them along the journey that they've made this year. And so I think we can take the time to do that. And as each person will read, I pour this water in honor of, and I will pour this water in honor of my mother Estelle and my grandmother Ida, who really brought me to this place in my life and are forever with me and inspire me to be who I am.
So because we won't know when to speak because we're all on the screen, Deb, can you see everyone on your screen?
I can see down to Lori.
Okay, so maybe call out people and then we can scroll and then you can, call one person at a time to do it.
Okay, so I see some people are unmuted. So Sheila, I'll just go with you first, and then Sharon will be next. Sharon Strauss will be next after Sheila Kane. Go ahead.
I poured this water into Kos Miriam in honor of my deceased sister Gloria, who 5 years older than me, took care of me, guided me, cajoled me, instructed me, reprimanded me, and I looked up to her.
Thank you. Sharon, would you be next, please?
I pour this water in honor of Ruth Wildman, who, as a dear friend of my mom's, introduced me to philosophy, Indian philosophy, Jewish philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, and I carry her with me every day of my life.
Thank you. Adela?
Yeah, just a minute, please. Oh, I pour this water in honor of my grandmother, who gave me an opportunity to be a teacher, a learner, a follower, and a leader.
Thank you. Lori?
I pour this water in honor of Sharon Roja, who has been my friend seemingly forever and who has seen me through the good times, the bad times, and has opened me to the world of different sorts of spirituality and understandings of other people.
Thank you. Vicki, you're up next.
I pour this water in honor of my mother, Virginia Lotz, who modeled for me what a good life looks like.
Thank you. Diane?
Yes. I pour this water in honor of my grandmother, Rose Wolfson, of blessed memory. It's through her attentiveness throughout my growing up years that I learned what her life was really like. And when I would stay over her house overnight, I could hear the sounds of summer as it echoed against the row houses on her block.
Thank you. I could picture that as you said that, you know. Marilyn, you're next. You need to unmute.
I got it. Okay, I pour this water in honor of my mother, Sadie Gruber, who showed me what a kind, caring person should be without regard to race, religion, or any other measurement except by what people actually are.
Thank you. Margaret, and you're muted as well.
Yes, I pour this water in honor of my mother, Judy Targove, who has demonstrated how transformation happens at any stage of life.
Beautiful. Paula, you are also muted.
I pour this water in honor of my daughter, Sonia Hammonds, who has faced incredible challenges and continues to thrive. and continues to challenge me to be the best that I can be.
Julia.
I pour this water in honor of my mother-in-law, Adele Weinstein, who recently passed away at the age of 103,
Oh, wow.
and who always valued family and community and connection, although she was a brilliant woman and had many other beautiful attributes.
Thank you. Robin, you're muted.
Let me see if I can unmute her. No.
No. Okay. All right. So I think I have to leave that. And Nina?
I pour this water in honor of my 3 daughters, Sarah, Hannah, and Becca, who have taught me a lot, both in the ways that they see the world and a lot about myself and how I'm reflected in who they've become.
So to all of our offerings in honor of those we love and honor, I would say amen, because I think this is the most beautiful, beautiful part of the service. I always love this, and it's just so heartfelt that it moves me every time I'm involved in this particular part of the service.
Amen.
So we move on to the orchatz, which I will ritually do. I have my hand washing bowl here. The hand washing is done before all meals where bread is eaten, typically, and water is very important in the Passover story, and water is important because it symbolizes life. And we wash our hands twice at our Seder, but since we're not eating yet at this time in the Seder, we wash without a blessing. And so as I pour water over my hands, perhaps you can think about how you've used your hands since the last Seder. What have they created? What burdens might your hands have carried? And whom have your hands helped? I don't know if you can see this, but I have my hand washing pitcher and I am doing a hand washing. I think we have Karpas.
Yachad. Oh, Karpas, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, reader, anybody who would like to read, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you or we'll call on you. Sheila, go ahead.
In ancient times, our people were farmers and shepherds. In this festive season, we are meant to feel a connection with the food we eat from the land and to remember that we are surrounded by blessings and miracles no less majestic than those our ancestors witnessed thousands of years ago. Spring reminds us that we are again given a chance for renewal, a new chance to create peace and goodness in our world. We dip karpas, greens, to symbolize this renewal. The salt water symbolizes the bitter tears shed by our ancestors in slavery.
So you'll notice we have no blessings for a lot of these because they would be a bracha levatala. It would be empty because we're not actually going through the rituals of the Seder. So we have the narrative and the teaching, but we don't have the actual blessing. Mm-hmm. As we move to Yachatz, this is exciting. I am going to break the middle matzah. This is very exciting, and it is wrapped for me in an embroidered cloth, which I now have crumbs in, so I can't hold up and show it to you. But it has all kinds of spring flowers and colors on it that either my grandmother or my mother embroidered. And I would like to have someone read what Yachatz is as I engage in the ritual of Yachatz.
Okay.
Paula, can you unmute yourself? And that would be great. Thank you.
Wait, you're still mute.
Still muted. Yeah. Oh, we lost her.
Yeah, where is she?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. I see you. Yes, and we can hear you too. Excellent.
On Sabbaths and holidays, we traditionally have 2 loaves of bread, a symbol of the double portion of manna from heaven. On Passover, we have 3 matzot on the table. The third matzah is the bread of affliction, reminding us of our enslavement in Egypt. We now take the middle of the 3 matzot and break it in 2. By breaking bread, we signify hospitality and invite all who are hungry to join us. The smaller piece of matzah is replaced between the other 2 matzot. The larger piece is wrapped in a napkin, symbolic of our ancestors wrapping their dough in their garments when they departed Egypt, and set aside as the afikomen to be eaten after the meal.
You have to trust me that it's wrapped in here. Okay, here we go. And we recite together, so you should probably mute yourselves because otherwise it's going to distort when we read together. And we read together these words. Behold the matzah, bread of poverty and affliction, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are needy share the hope of this Passover celebration. Next year, may all men and women be free. May I add that next year, may all men and women be healthy, and may the world be in a better place.
Yes.
This is exciting, the 4 questions. This is the best. This is the best. And so do we have any volunteers for this? Did you get any volunteers, or are we just taking people from the community?
So we got a lot of volunteers to read different things, but no one specifically asked for any, specific part.
Okay.
I think what we can do is there a way to raise your hands? Sometimes there's a hand raise that you can.
I'll do the 4 questions.
Okay, I can't see who's saying that. Oh, Marilyn. Okay, great.
Sure.
No?
Sure.
Wait,
Okay.
who was saying it?
Sheila.
Oh, Sheila, sorry. We could each do a question if there's more.
Let's do that. Let's go around
So,
so that everyone has a turn to do something. Yeah.
I'll do the first. Who's
Go
doing
ahead.
it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Why is this night different from all other nights?
Okay.
On all other nights, we eat either leavened bread or matzah. Why on this night do we eat only matzah?
Okay, let's take it from there. That was great, Sheila. I loved it.
Okay, it looks like Lori's ready to do it.
Okay.
On all other nights, we eat all kinds of herbs. Why on this night do we especially eat bitter herbs?
Excellent. Who else? Diane.
On all other nights, we do not dip herbs at all. Why on this night do we dip twice?
Marilyn, you had your hand up. You want to do the next one? Yeah.
Sure. Here we go. On all other nights, we eat in an ordinary manner. Why tonight do we recline and dine with a special ceremony?
Thank you. All. At the Seder, we have many symbols. And I wanted to thank Patricia Lawrence because she contributed a lot of information in terms of these different symbols, that what they mean and what they are. And, if we look at the traditional Seder plate, it contains typical items. And then later on, we're going to look at the modern Seder plate and what things have been added. So if you like, we can go around. There's plenty to be read here, and everyone can have a turn, if not more than one. And if people unmute themselves, we can just go straight through so that I don't have to unmute or say unmute yourself. So why don't we all unmute, and I'll just call out names in my screen and people can just read. Let me just go up to the top of my screen. Okay. So Nina, I think you should participate as well. The shank bone goes to you.
Okay, it's very funny. I'm a vegetarian. Roa is a symbol of the lamb that was offered as a Passover sacrifice in the temple. The bone is also a symbol of God's mighty arm when God freed the Jews from slavery. A blood red beet is also halachically acceptable.
Beitza, the roasted egg. Vic, can I take that one?
Sure. Roasted egg symbolizes the cycle of life, morning, rebirth, and springtime. Just as we grew into a free nation through our exodus from Egypt, The egg symbolizes growth and new life. Some vegans substitute the egg for a similarly shaped roasted avocado pit.
Okay. Bitter herbs, maror. Diane?
Maror, usually horseradish. Bitter herbs are a symbol of the bitterness of slavery. The addition of beet juice represents the blood shed by the Hebrew slaves.
Parsley, vegetable, Marilyn?
Parsley vegetable, carpus, represents spring, hope, and renewal.
Romaine lettuce, chazeret. Your name is blocked. Sorry. I just lost.
Yeah, I'm looking for her.
Is it Sharon that's underneath Marilyn? The name is, I don't have the name there.
So in my list it says Robin, but I don't know if that's is
Okay,
Robin.
so I'll go. It's Sharon.
Okay.
Romaine lettuce, chatzeret, or another bitter herb such as green onion, shaped like whips that used to beat the Hebrew slaves. Whoa. Takes on the symbolism of both the bitter herbs and the parsley, in other words, of slavery and renewal.
That sounds like scallions.
Yeah, that sounds like scallions. Yeah.
Whips.
I'm here, Robin.
Okay. Go ahead, Robin. Karoset? Yeah.
Karoset is a mixture of fruit and nuts, as represents the mortar between the bricks, which we laid as slaves in Egypt. It is also sweet like freedom.
Salt water. Now let's see. Wait a minute. I can. Margaret, you didn't have an opportunity, right?
Salt water is a reminder of the tears and the sweat shed by the Hebrew slaves. And paradoxically, it is a symbol for purity, springtime, and the sea, the mother of all life.
Now, some people haven't had a chance to read yet, but we're going to give you an opportunity to look at some of the modern Seder plate items. And Adela, would you want to do the first one, which is the potato peelings?
Yes, just a second, please.
Well, I can do that, Adela.
Okay.
Potato peelings are a reminder of what the Jewish prisoners ate to stay alive during the Holocaust. Then there are potatoes. In 1991, Israel covertly rescued famished, downtrodden Jews from Ethiopia, Operation Moshe and Solomon. These people were so hungry and ill that they were unable to digest substantial food, so the Israeli doctors fed them with simple boiled potatoes and rice until their systems could take more complex foods. The presence of potatoes, therefore, honors a wondrous exodus in our own time from Ethiopia to Israel.
Thank you. Lori, the olive branch?
I was going to say, wait, Adela, is Patricia with you?
Yeah.
Are you sharing the reading? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wait, let me scroll up. I can't get, yeah.
Yeah, you probably can't see her, but I knew she was there, and
okay, yeah, I can't
so much
see,
of this was contributed by her, especially.
Go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry. That's the olive branch would be for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The olive branch is a well-known.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. The olive branch is a well-known symbol of peace. The olive symbolizes the desire for peace, not only between Israel and the Palestinians, but in all parts of the world where there is violence between peoples.
So lovely.
Thank you.
Fair trade chocolate. Who has not read? Lori, did you?
I did a while ago, but okay. Much of the world's chocolate production has relied on underpaid or slave laborers, often children. Fair trade chocolate represents our concern for economic freedom, especially in the third world. Should I go on?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind, that would be great.
Unfortunately, modern slavery is not restricted to countries like Africa. The tomato has found its way onto some Seder plates to represent solidarity with those suffering from slavery, in particular in terms of the underpaid labor and the oppressive working conditions in American agriculture.
And so would someone like to take the artichoke as we move through our new modern Seder plate items?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
In some interfaith families, the prickly artichoke, a flower bud of a type of thistle, has become part of the Seder plate. Like the ends of its petals, the subject of marrying out is a thorny one. However, the progressively softening fleshy leaves and the softer inside choke protect the artichoke's soft heart. Consequently, the artichoke is said to symbolize God's wisdom in making the Jewish people able to absorb many elements and cultures throughout the centuries, and yet to still remain Jewish.
And finally, the pomegranate on this page before we page down. Nina, you want to do the pomegranate?
Sure. Some add a pomegranate to the Seder plate to represent the diaspora, as the seeds can represent Am Yisrael as well as the 613 mitzvot.
Now, I have to ask you to continue because this is about vegetarians, and I feel like this really was made for you. So why don't you read it for us?
As we kind of come all the way around, because I started with this roa. Vegetarians, in place of the shank bone, place olives, grapes, and grains of unfermented barley, which symbolize the commandments of compassion for the oppressed found in the Bible. We use olives to commemorate the commandment to leave the second shaking of the olive trees for the poor. We use grapes to commemorate the commandment to leave the second shaking of the grapevines for the poor. And we use grains of unfermented barley to commemorate the commandment not to muzzle the ox when it treads out the corn in the field. In other words, to recognize the natural appetites of the animal and not interfere with them. This commandment is considered to be the oldest extant concept of animal rights and enshrines the dignity and rights of the animal. And that's from Haggadah for the Liberated Lamb.
I really like that. Such a lovely addition to the readings, you know, to have that. And we move on now to the 4 children. And 4 times the Torah commands us to, you know, tell our children about the Exodus from Egypt. And because of this, the traditional Haggadah speaks of 4 kinds of children. I mean, I remember growing up with this from forever. And our sages teach that perhaps there's really a part of each of us, of each of the 4 children in each of us. So we have readers, we have the wise, scornful, simple, and innocent children. And I'm wondering, I see a new box, Richard Lidback.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you would like to read the wise child.
The wise child questions, what is the meaning of the laws and observances which the Lord our God has commanded us? In response to this child, we explain the observances of the Passover in depth.
And you know what? I'm going to give you a second one because you haven't read. So take the scornful child also.
Scornful child questions, what does this service mean to you? The child says, to you, and does not feel a part of our observances. By excluding God and himself, this child would not have been redeemed had he or she been in Egypt. We ask this child to listen closely and become part of our traditions and learn what the Seder means.
Thank you. Julia, would you do the simple child? No reflection.
The simple child questions, what is this ceremony about? We say, we are remembering a time long ago when we were forced to work as slaves. God made us a free people, and we are celebrating our freedom. We hope by observing the Seder year after year, this child will come to appreciate the message of the Passover holiday.
Thank you. And we have the innocent child. Margaret, would you be the innocent?
The innocent child doesn't think to question. To this child we say, in the spring of every year, we remember how we were brought out of slavery to freedom.
And there is the 5th child. And Nina, this is for you because this was the reading you brought to us.
Okay. On this night, we remember the 5th child. This is the child of the Shoah, Holocaust, who did not survive to ask. Therefore, we ask for that child, why? We answer that child's question with silence. In silence, we remember that dark time. In silence, we remember that Jews preserved their image of God in the struggle for life. In silence, we remember the Seder nights spent in the forests, ghettos, and camps. We remember that Seder night when the Warsaw Ghetto rose in revolt. We remember with reverence and love the 6 million of our people who perished at the hand of a tyrant more wicked than Pharaoh, who enslaved our fathers in Egypt. In silence, let us pass the cup of Elijah, the cup of the final redemption yet to be. We remember our people's return to the land of Israel, the beginning of our redemption. Let us each fill Elijah's cup with some of our wine, expressing the hope that through our efforts we will bring the redemption closer. I am doing this symbolically for us.
May it be so.
Amen.
As Moses and the Israelites were freeing Egypt, Pharaoh's armies pursued them as they were encamped by the sea. Moses held out his hand over the sea, very famous story, and the Lord drove back the sea, allowing the Israelites to pass, but drowned the Egyptians. There's a midrash that tells of God rebuking his angels for rejoicing as the Egyptians were drowning, saying, "Are these not my children also?" We now pour 10 drops of wine to symbolize the 10 plagues upon Egypt. A full cup of wine is the symbol of complete joy. Though we celebrate our freedom, our cup cannot be filled because our freedom did not come without a cost. Each drop of wine that we pour out of our cups diminishes our joy. So, you're supposed to take your finger or spoon and, dip it as with each plague and put it on your plate or on your napkin. And so we have the transliteration, and I thought together we could read each of the plagues together. Dam, Svardeya, Kinim, Arov, Dever, Chin, Barad, Arbe, Koshech, Makat Bechorot.
Reb Deb, I think we need to add Corona.
Yes, we have. Yes, I get that, and we certainly can.
Yeah. I want to say before we go on that we just had one more person join, so next time we're reading, look for Elisheva also. She has a chance to do it.
Okay. Dayenu is a reminder to never forget all the miracles in our lives. And I love this fun fact because that was Nina's fun fact. So Elisheva, do you want to read Nina's fun fact? Can you see where we are?
Are we under Dayenu?
Yeah.
Is it the
fun fact of Persian and Afghani?
I don't see it.
You know, here, I'll point to it with my arrow. Here, do you see it now?
Okay, yes, I do. Fun fact, Persian and Afghani Jews hit each other over the heads and shoulders with scallions every time they say Dayenu. They especially use the scallions in the 9th stanza, which mentions the manna that the Israelites ate every day in the desert. Because Torah tells us that the Israelites began to complain about the manna and longed for the onions, leeks, and garlic.
That's great. I thought they were longing for meat, was what I heard. But this is good.
Anyone up for singing, Dayenu?
Dayenu, Ilu Hotzianu, Hotzianu Mitzrayim, Hotzianu Mitzrayim, Dayenu,
Dayenu. That was a challenge on Zoom, but I think we actually did a very honorable job with that.
I think we earned
the second cup.
Yes. Okay.
The cup of deliverance, as we fill the second cup and raise our glasses, if we have glasses. And why don't we read this? We have a reader for this one. Somebody maybe that would like to read. Diane, were you raising your hand? Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you.
We raise our cups as we recall the second promise of liberation to the people of Israel. We praise God who has delivered us and our ancestors from Egypt and brought us here this night to eat matzah and maror. Our God and God of our ancestors, help us celebrate future holidays and festivals in peace and in joy.
And why don't we recite together? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Peri Hagafen. Praised are you, our Lord, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has created the fruit of the vine. And if you're drinking, enjoy.
Thank you.
Hi. How late will you be open today? How late will you be open? Until 7. Okay, great.
Okay. Well, we're moving on to rachatz and the washing of the hands. And this is the actual washing of the hands with the blessing. This is the second washing, which I can do with my hand washing bowl and pitcher. And I'll just pour out some
This
water.
makes me think of that terrific joke that I showed you guys last time, the cartoon that shows the steps of the Seder, Kadesh, Urachatz, Karpatz, Urachatz, Yachatz, Urachatz. You keep washing because of the coronavirus. So there's rachatz between each step, but we're only doing it twice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Amen. Okay,
And
so go ahead.
we would be moving on to the motzi. We begin tonight with the breaking of matzah, and we recite 2 blessings for the breaking of the matzah. Let me just get my matzah. Hang on one second. Okay. We have the general blessing and for the hamotzi, and then the special blessing for the matzah. So I'm hoping we can all do this together. Even if you don't have matzah, it's fine, I think, in the spirit of learning and doing together. The first blessing, and let's see, we can put my cursor there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And have the blessing for the matzah itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nishanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah.
And then, because it's the first time that we're having matzah.
Yes, the shehechianu together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'imanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. I'd love a reader for the maror, for the bitter herbs. We have someone who might like to read. Yes, I see your hand is up, and please go ahead.
Is that me?
Yeah, yeah.
Maror, the bitter herbs. The maror symbolizes the bitterness of slavery in Egypt, as it is written in the Torah. And they embittered their lives with hard labor, with mortar and with bricks, and with all manner of labor in the field. Any labor that they made them do was with hard labor.
Thank you. And the korech, Paula, would you want to read? Thank you. You're muted, Paula.
Korech. By combining the bitter herb and haroset, a mixture of chopped apples, nuts, wines, and spices, we acknowledge that life is bittersweet. The sweet taste of haroset symbolizes that no matter how bitter and dark the present appears, we should look forward to better days. As we remember our ancestors, this is a time to be appreciative of everything we have, a time to be grateful for all the gifts we have been given.
It would be time for the Shulchan Aruch, the festive meal at this point, and then the Safun, the Afikomen, would be found. So I want to page up here to Nina. Where are you? Or page down. Where are you, Nina?
You're looking for my thing?
Yeah, here you are. Okay, I see your face. So do you want to talk about the Afikomen contest?
Yeah, two things I wanted to talk about. One was because we're thinking about a time to be grateful for all the gifts we've been given. I think especially with all the incredible stress that I know all of us are under, in addition to our usual stresses, we're all in isolation. And when we go out, we're all so stressed that anybody who looks at us might make us die. If we touch a handle, I mean, this is a very scary time, I think, for a lot of people. So I think it's important for us to really think about at least one gift that we can be grateful for at this time. And since we're not actually having a meal during which we'd have some like interesting conversation, maybe before I talk about, we don't have a lot of time, but maybe a little time, anyone who wants to share something that they're especially grateful for at this time, either about the situation or just in general. We can go from person to person, or we can just do whoever wants to volunteer. What do you think, Deb? Person to person or volunteer?
I think by volunteer, whoever would like to, just, raise your hand and unmute yourself, and we just won't speak at once. We'll take turns.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I don't see your name, but I see. So go ahead.
That's Lori. That's Lori.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, this might sound a little strange, but I am very grateful that I have 2 little new kittens, because I do live alone and I don't have any family here. And I got my kittens just before this whole isolation began, and they're very much keeping me amused and keeping me company.
Thank you, Laura. Anybody else?
It's Patricia here. I'm very grateful to have a roof over my head, a nice warm fire, and some pleasant company, human and feline.
Thank you. And Marilyn, you had your hand up too, I saw.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the people that I've been calling and the people who have been calling me. I've heard from relatives that I haven't spoken to in a long time, and it was nice to catch up, and I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Thank you. Any others? Diane, please.
I'm grateful that through this trying and strange period, I find it's a time when you can, kind of an unusual time in South Carolina, but this is one of those times of year when it's nice to leave the windows open, and it makes such a big difference.
I really like that. Yeah, Elisheva.
Yeah, along those lines, I live in California, and I've just had more time. I live 5 minutes from a trail into the woods, and I've been spending time with my dog, and just hearing the birds who are back right now has been kind of a balm my soul.
Thank you. What a blessing.
Adela here.
Yes.
I am grateful for the healing of the planet that is happening right now as a result of our darkness. And I am grateful for the internet. We got to get to know you, and it's been a wonderful experience. And we use it to connect with many other people and many interesting activities.
Thank you. So
Robin here.
I can see Paula.
Yeah, and Robin too.
Yeah, I can only see half of them in my, yeah.
I'm very grateful for having a very comfortable home to be isolated in. And that hasn't always been the case for me. It's only been the case for the last several years. So I feel very grateful, and especially grateful that my home is in a very beautiful part of the world where I can go out and enjoy nature easily.
Thank you. We had someone else, because I can only see 5 boxes at a time. So
It was Robin. I saw Robin.
I'm grateful for the technology that we have that enabled me to, last night, have a Zoom conference with my 90-year-old father and my 2 daughters and my son-in-law and my husband, and we laughed and had a great time. It really made the evening.
That's great.
And I'll go next. I'm really grateful for the new wave of consciousness that's going on within our world. All the things we've been talking about, including the ability to use technology, that was really the goal when I think technology started. I was selling it about 35 years ago to big companies, and it was really to use it for the greater good. And I think that we're representatives of using it for that reason, for trying to connect with the survivors that are almost gone and the people that are have health challenges. Even myself being invited by Paula to join this, it's a true gift, and I hope that our sense of openness to the world and compassion to each other really is something that will continue on in a big way.
I would say amen to that. May it be so, I think. Margaret?
Amen.
Yeah, I just have to say, I've always struggled with sort of the meditation and the sort of getting back to basics, but this has allowed me to sort of really appreciate my breath, our breaths, and how it links to our soul kind of thing, back to basics. So whenever I breathe, I think, I can breathe. And it gets back to sort of foundational things, which we always take for granted. I always take for granted, right? Rushing around where, we breathe just automatically rather than consciously understanding what a gift a breath is.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Nina, would you like to talk a little bit about the contest?
Yes, this is exciting.
The Afikomen. I'm just going to go off video for a second while you explain that, because I've got to grab something and I'll be.
Yeah, you're hiding the Afikomen, I know. So we were talking and we thought, well, how are we going to have people find the Afikomen if we're all virtual? And then I thought, well, maybe you can't find the Afikomen, but you can solve a mystery or a riddle or answer a question. So we thought that the winner of the Afikomen would be the person, and this is a very hard question, who can name the most Jewish prophetesses. Okay, there are 7 Jewish women prophets. And as a hint, we were talking about one of them earlier. Reb Deb actually used the word prophet. The way to answer this so that we don't give it away, is go to your chat and chat privately to me. You'll see it says to, and you can just pick my name, and then where you type your message, write as many of these names as you can. I will say that before I looked them up, I could think of only 2. But, I looked them up, so now I know. So as many as you can think of, just type privately to me, and then we will let you know who found the Afikomen, or maybe more than one person.
Yeah, we could have a couple of winners here.
We could. Oh, and you probably want to know what your Afikomen prize is. So, as most of you know, Chai Mitzvah has different sets of booklets. One is about different Musar topics. One is the standard topics, which includes mindfulness and conscious living, gratitude, interpersonal relationships. One of them is called Aseret, the Big 10. It's the 10 Commandments as they relate to our lives today. And one of them is business ethics. So you can choose whatever you'd like, whatever set of booklets you'd like, and they will be sent to you as your Afikomen present, whoever thinks of the most of them. Okay, I see some of them are starting to come in.
Okay. We've got to see what we're going to get.
Okay, a few people have, they have some that are actual prophetesses and some that are not, but they also have some that are. So we're going to see, whoever can find the most of the ones that are real, although there were some really good suggestions here, and I think some of these people should have been prophetesses, actually. But this is very cool. I like this very much. A little more time. Okay. I'm trying to open it up on my screen so that I can see it, but it is disappearing. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, now I can see it. Okay. And actually, maybe I won't share it, because if I share it, I'll give it away. Okay.
Here's my chat here.
You see a chat? It's it looks like a talk bubble in the bottom of your screen.
Right, but where does it say to? Or
you click on chat, and it'll say at the very bottom, it will say either, it says to, and you can either say to everyone or you can pick me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, pick her.
Pick me.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is great. Let's see. Okay, one person has 3. Let's see.
I remember 5.
Oh, that's pretty
That's
awesome.
pretty impressive.
It's, one person here has. We always joke because I've got 3 daughters, and they're not actually all prophetesses, but they're biblical names. Someone has 1, 2, 3. Someone else has 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Wow.
One person has 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 people have 5. Okay. Does anyone else want to put their thoughts in? Yes, Sharon.
I can't remember the last one, but I think it starts with an H.
Huldah.
That's right. Okay. Wait, Sharon, you put it. So you have 5.
I
Sharon
have
has
5 plus what she just said, which wasn't mine.
Oh, okay. So she's 5.5.
5.5.
And her co-winner is Adela, who has
Adela and Patricia.
Oh, Adela and Patricia. Okay. You have one person who's actually not one of them, but you have 5 who are. So I will tell you who they are. And I have to say that some of these other women who were mentioned should have been prophetesses. Like Tamar is here, Zipporah, Eve. These are not actual prophetesses, but they're very important women. So the 7 prophetesses are Sarah, Miriam, who we were talking about earlier, Deborah, like Reb Deb, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, and Esther. So those are your answers. And we have our winners, and you can let us know which of the Chai Mitzvah packets you would like to receive.
And I hope you enjoyed the question because I thought it up.
Yes,
very good.
Very
I
creative.
figured I would challenge you. Nina said, give them something to challenge them to stretch. So if that was a stretching question.
I knew we had smart people with us. So
this is great. So we do not do the blessing after meals because obviously it would be an empty blessing as we haven't eaten, but we are moving on to the 3rd cup. And together we take the 3rd cup of wine and we remember the divine promise to the people of Israel. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. And if you have a cup,
yeah. I'm sorry, are you guys seeing the thing on the screen anymore, or is it gone?
We're seeing the Haggadah.
Yeah, it's up.
Good,
It's up.
good.
Yeah, page down, Nina.
Okay.
Keep paging.
Good. Okay.
Here we go.
So
Okay.
can I just say that one of the things that about the Afikoman is that it was hidden and it is found, and it's a good thing to remember that right now the cure and the vaccine for COVID-19 is hidden, and let us pray that a vaccine and a cure is found.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Thank you. That was just perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have our 3rd cup. Please fill and raise, and together we bless. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagav. And we fill the wine glasses, including Elijah's cup, which is now filled to the top. And Elijah is said to be present in every generation and at every Seder. And hopefully we pray that he brings a new era of peace. And so we open the door typically for Elijah and welcome Elijah into our homes. And we sing, and please join me. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatish, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David,
Miriam Hanivia, Oz V'Zimra Be'ada,
I heard a very nice Miriam song going on. Can we hear it one more time with Miriam?
Yeah, I think that was me.
Yes.
Miriam Hanivia, Oz V'Zimra Be'ada, Miriam Tirkoditanu Lehagdil Zimratalam, Miriam Tirkoditanu Litakenet Ha'olam.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Miriam
You have a
was
lovely
that.
voice, by the way.
Thank you. That was Rabbi Layla Galberner.
Could we have a copy of
That's
that?
my colleague. Wait, who just said that?
Elisheva.
She was the dean. She's a colleague of mine from Aleph, from the Jewish Renewal Movement.
Yeah, she, I believe, wrote the melody and put that to the words about probably 25, 30 years ago. And we do it for Havdalah, but it could easily come here with the cups.
Yeah, that's Reb Leila. She was my director of studies when I was a rabbinical student. Now she's a colleague of mine that I'm teaching for Aleph. What a small world. Thank you for that. I never knew she wrote that. I have to check her out.
Is it possible to have a copy of that?
I was just going to say, when I send out our follow-up email, I'm going to send a copy of the Haggadah we're using with all of these things in it. And if you could send it to me, Elisheva, I'd like to include it because I think it's really wonderful and people, I'm sure,
Okay.
will.
If you're in a place that you can look it up and you find it easily, do. If not, I'll send it to you.
Okay, I'll look and see if I can find it. If I can't, I'll email you.
Let me know. Thanks.
Okay, perfect.
So we move on to the Cup of Ruth. And we were going to, where is the Cup of Ruth? Who's got the Cup of Ruth?
Well, Patricia, this was something that you added. Do you have something that you could hold up? If not, I have a cup, but I can't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. I have this.
And if you would read for us, would you read?
Oh my gosh, social distancing. Hello.
Nina, could you scroll down?
Sure. The Cup of Ruth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Ruth's cup honors not only those who have converted to Judaism, but the overall diversity of the Jewish people.
Lovely.
That's lovely. Thank you for adding that to our Seder that we never had before. It's a wonderful addition.
And if someone would read about Hallel. Hallel are the songs of praise, and the Hallelujah comes, it's all Hallel, we praise Yah, God. So Hallel are the Psalms of praise. And if someone would read that for us, please.
I can read that.
Okay, thank you.
Hallel is a recitation in Hebrew of psalms. This is a time to once again give thanks. It is a time of singing and of praise. We are to love God with all our hearts, with all our souls, and with all our might, and to diligently teach our children the Torah commandments, speaking of them daily and keeping them close to our minds and close to our hearts. Just as the fingers on our prayer shawls are meant to remind us of our bond and are gathered up and held together, we are reminded that our Jewish identity should not be kept on the fringes of our lives, but brought close to our hearts, enveloping all that we do.
Thank you. And we raise the fourth cup as we close our Seder, and we once again bless Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei hagafen.
Amen.
As our Seder comes to an end, the tradition is next year in Jerusalem. Next year, may all men and women everywhere be free.
Amen.
This
Amen.
concludes our Seder for this evening and for this year, our Chaim Mitzvah Seder. And we truly hope that you have enjoyed the experience of being together in community tonight. to celebrate the Seder a little bit before the Seder actually occurs. So thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Could we please go around and introduce ourselves and just say where we're from?
Yeah,
That's a great
sure.
idea.
Why don't we, Nina, you want to start and say where you're from, and we'll do a quick run through because I've got another call and I've got to go off after we finish.
Okay, so I'm Nina Walden, and I am from the Hudson River. And
Literally.
I live on a boat in the Hudson River.
I'm Deb Smith. I'm from Morris County, New Jersey. Vicki?
Vicki Lipsky. I live in Ridgefield, Washington.
Sharon?
I live in Marin County, California.
I'm going over to Diane just because I'm following my boxes.
I'm Diane Cohen, and I live in Darlington, South Carolina.
Marilyn?
I live in Succossona, New Jersey.
Margaret?
Margaret Targove, I live in New Jersey.
Okay. Adela and Patricia?
I am Adela and I live in London, Ontario, Canada.
And I'm Patricia. I live in London, Ontario, Canada, originally from London, UK.
Ah.
It's always London for you.
Lori?
I'm Lori, and I live in Monroe, New Jersey.
Paula?
Paula Hammonds, Marin County, California.
Wow. Julia?
Julia Weinstein, Los Angeles, California.
Robin?
Robin Kahn, Connecticut.
Sheila?
Rockaway, New Jersey.
And Elisheva?
She's mute.
Muted.
Right. Well, I think she's from California. I'm sure she's from California.
And
I wondered where, though.
There was someone else on before, but I think the gentleman that was on is no longer here.
Anyway, I want to thank everyone for coming. This was really fun, and I really felt like I'm in Passover now, where I didn't before. So this is great. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions and for celebrating with us.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, a sweet Passover.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well and be safe.
Elisheva, where in California are you from?
I live in Oakland, and I was taking this opportunity to go look at the kosher market, which is doing social distancing, but they're open, and I was going to go shop for Pesach. And I didn't realize this meeting was on East Coast time. So I was here, and I parked my car and went, oh, no, it's now. But one of a teenager who works for me, and her dad just walked by, and I literally just bought something for her. I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to put it in the mail now. Yeah, where are you?
Sharon and I are both from Marin County.
No, where?
Yeah. San Rafael. Sharon's from Tiburon.
Oh, I grew up in Mill Valley.
Oh my God.
Chag Sameach, everyone. I need to sign off.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Reb
Good night.
Deb. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, Chag Sameach, everybody, and see for next Wednesday night.
Right. Chag Sameach.